There we go. Okay, everybody, welcome and thank you for coming tonight. You'll see my name, Robin John Mountain, but that is not actually my name. That is the owner of Nintaba. Robin and his wife Stella Mountain own Nintaba African Safaris. My name is Tina Kleekamp. I work for Robin and Stella, and I've been working with Brianne to put this itinerary together for you. So tonight we're going to review the itinerary and hopefully answer some of your questions and maybe get you guys signed up and ready to go to South Africa. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Now, Tina, you have to keep your eye on if people come in. It should pop up and tell you to let them in. Okay.
On the left-hand side here. It should come up at the top, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I will watch for that as well. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Brianne Crawford's 2024 June Discover Magical South Africa itinerary. Got it. Okay, very good. So this is the link that Brianne has shared with all of you. There's a lot of information in here. Clicking the tabs across the top is really the best way I feel to access the information. So I'm not going to go through everything, but just kind of hit some of the highlights to kind of maybe give you a little more detailed information about how the trip will flow and some of the activities that you will be doing on this trip. So it's from the 18th of June. We overnight fly to South Africa. The best way to fly to South Africa is direct nonstop from Atlanta on Delta and United from Newark. And I believe United that's going into Johannesburg. They're going to start some additional service. I think next year. It might even be starting in December, but not every day going into Cape Town. But our itinerary starts in Johannesburg. So flying overnight from Atlanta, you can connect to get to Atlanta or fly from your home state to Atlanta and fly nonstop. It's about a 15, I believe it's a 15, maybe 16-hour flight from Atlanta to Johannesburg. So that's on the 18th. We arrive at the Johannesburg OR Tambo International Airport, and we're going to spend the night in the area there. It's a City Lodge hotel, which is connected right to the airport. You don't have to leave the airport grounds. You walk through the airport, down a corridor, all under roof, take an elevator up to the lodge. It's very convenient. We use this hotel all the time for people staging to start their itinerary the next day, which is what we'll be doing on the 20th. Flying to Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. You'll need to have $30 in cash to purchase your Zimbabwe visa at the airport when you arrive. Everyone purchases a visa there, so it's very simple. It's just one little form that we'll give you ahead of time. You can have it filled out and ready to hand in. $30 in cash, new bills. I don't know what the thing is there, but they like new money. So nice, crisp new bills. Bring a 10 and a 20 and you'll be all set. Then at Victoria Falls, I'll go through some of the activities we'll do in just a minute, but want to just go through the flow of the itinerary. From there, we'll spend 2 nights in Victoria Falls and then fly to Cape Town and stay at the City Lodge. It's on the Victoria and Alfred waterfront, which is kind of like the boardwalk. The main attractions are all there. The restaurants, there's an aquarium, there's a Ferris wheel. They've moved the Ferris wheel recently. They took it down and I think they're putting it up in a different location, but lots of fun things and shopping to do. It's kind of the heart of town, right on the sea, the ocean front there. It's a working harbor, so the ships are coming in and out. Very nice, very interesting attractions there and things to do. Then from there, we fly to the Greater Kruger Park area and stay at the Shiduli Private Game Lodge in a private game reserve. 3 nights there for safari. They go on safari in the morning and in the evening. So if you're there for 3 nights, you have 6 safari, 3-hour game drives while you're there. And we'll talk about that a little bit more once I get down to that area of the itinerary. So any questions on that so far? Okay. the daily information tab. I'm going to go to that next. I'll let you all look at the accommodations and you can, I'm not moving here. It's spinning. You'll see the details of the hotels, the type of room and all the facilities, what they offer and such. So we'll let you guys read through that. So here is the Victoria Falls, the arrival day in Victoria Falls. We'll check into the hotel, and then about 4:30 that afternoon, you'll be transferred to the Zambezi Riverbank, and we'll have a sunset dinner cruise on the Malachite. It's like a large pontoon vessel boat like you see here. It can be like a game drive on the river. We just never know what animals are going to be in the area. There could be hippos in the river, elephants or antelope, anything comes down to the river to drink. Sometimes the elephants even swim in the river. I was just there in September with a group of travel agents, and we had a wonderful experience. A group of about 15 elephants came down for a drink, and they went into the river and they swam. I mean, they swam actually across the entire river with their little trunks up when they're breathing. I mean, it was great. You just don't see that all the time, so we never know what we're going to see. It's nature, but we have the chance of having some wonderful sightings, and hopefully the weather and the clouds and will clear out and the sky will be clear, and you'll have this sunset of this orange glow of just your typical African sunset while you're on the river. It's just really beautiful. But if that all doesn't happen, it's still a wonderful meal. In the evening, it'll get dark by the time you're headed back, so you'll see the sun setting and going into the evening with a wonderful meal on the Malachite vessel. So that's then back to your hotel. Then the next day we have the tour of the Victoria Falls. Here you see the Victoria Falls. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. If you read up some details of Victoria Falls, it's the largest curtain of falling water in the world. It's not, the tallest falls, but the largest curtain of falling water. So September or June rather, when you go, it's going to have a lot of water in it still. The rainy season is the first part of the year, so you're still going to have full falls, full curtain of water. Expect to get wet. Bring some shoes that can get wet, some water shoes or sandals that rubbery, that it won't matter, because more than likely you'll be renting ponchos there for just a small fee. Your camera you're going to want underneath, or if you want to pack a small umbrella, a little travel umbrella is a good idea, or a hat, because the mist of the falls, it goes up and it comes down in the rainforest, and that's where you're walking along the Zimbabwe side of the falls, and depending upon the wind, how it's blowing will determine again as well how wet you will get. So be prepared for that. But it's a wonderful experience. You'll be able to walk the entire length of the falls down to the bridge. It's quite long. I would say probably over half a mile. It's amazing. And hopefully you'll have the opportunity to do a helicopter ride, which this time of year when the falls is full is amazing. I mean, you can see just really everything from the air, and gives you a great vantage point for how fantastic the falls really are, and the gorge where it travels through after coming over the bank. And we don't have that included in the itinerary, but if that's something anybody wants to do, we can surely fit it in on the day of departure. We'll just tell your guide, you'll have a Nataba guide that's traveling with you. I didn't mention that before, but there will be a Nataba guide meeting you in Johannesburg and traveling with you through this whole portion of the trip. So he will be able to arrange something like that for you if you want to do a little something extra. So we'll go to the Victoria Falls, then we'll visit a local craft market for the local artisans, the wood carvings, the metal work, material, weaving, baskets. It's just all handmade items, and just like a big open market where everybody sells their wear. And this is time to bargain, guys. There's no prices on anything. So you go in there, put your bargain hat on and do your best. And from there, we'll go to the Lookout Cafe for lunch, which is a restaurant that overlooks the Batanka Gorge, which is,
Tina, can I interrupt for 1 second? I think
Yes.
there might be somebody in the waiting room.
is there? Oh, at the top. Yes, thank you very much.
Yep.
Did we get him?
I think you got it. Yep.
Yeah, okay, very good. So we'll go to the Lookout Cafe, which is a restaurant that cantilevers over the Batanka Gorge, which is, you'll see where the Victoria Falls flows through. So it's coming down through this area. There's activities there as well, very much adrenaline activities like a gorge swing, which swings out over the gorge, kind of like a bungee jump, but more of a swing, and a flying fox zip line. If you want to do that, you can click on these links over on the right-hand side, and those give you kind of some of the images, more information on all the activities. Woo, I don't know about that. Let me see that. Here's the gorge. So, oh, that's the flying fox. Let's see. Yeah. Okay.
I'm totally doing that.
Are you?
Totally doing that. That
Oh
looks
my God.
amazing.
This is good. Oh, here's the
We'll
gorge.
be doing it with you.
There it is. We had an agent that did this. Look at that. It's crazy. It really is crazy.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay, I'll let you guys look at those pictures. All right, so from there, we'll have lunch then at the Lookout Cafe. You could watch all the crazies jump off the platform or do it yourself. And then we'll go to the Elephant Sanctuary, where you will be able to interact with the elephants that live there. These are not born in the sanctuary, they're rescued elephants, but some of these handlers have been with these elephants for many, many years, and they're very used to people. They're not trained like circus, but they've built a nice friendship with them. So you get to go out into the bush, walk up to the elephants, we'll get your photos taken with them. You can touch them, pet their, I've actually hugged one around the leg. They're just like a big old tree stump. I mean, really interact with them, touch the tusks, feel their trunk and their ears, and they'll tell you all, all the details about the elephants and all the things that they like and they don't like. And it's a wonderful experience. Then we'll walk a path with the elephants following you to an area where you get to feed them. So they have these little tricks. They know you put your hand up or down. They eat off of the trunk. So you just like cup your hand full of little treats and you set it on top of their trunk. They put their little trunk up. So you just set it right on there or you throw it into their mouth. So you guys are going to love that. It's a wonderful experience to be up close and personal with a wild elephant, because they're not in a cage. They're out in the sanctuary, which is, hundreds of acres, but guarded 24 hours a day, because the poachers know they're there. Oh, I got to admit, there we go. We're admitting another party here. The poachers know they're there, so they guard them 24 hours a day just to keep them safe. So that'll be a wonderful experience in the afternoon. Then back to your hotel for a little break and off to the Boma for a dinner that evening. It's a traditional dinner with live entertainment. It's a dinner and drum show, basically. They'll have an African drumming group and they pass out the drums. You put them between your knees and they teach you to drum and drum along. So have an opportunity. It's a buffet where you get to try all kinds of different meats and dishes, all from the local cooks there that prepare the local meals. Okay, do I have questions? Okay, let me see. I have questions here.
The only question was if you need to have any vaccinations. And I thought that we've talked about this and the answer was no, but if you want to just confirm that, Tina.
Yes. Vaccinations for COVID really is the only vaccination. There's no shots like yellow fever or anything like that. Right now, and again, we're in 2022 and your trip's in 2024. For Zimbabwe, they do require that you're fully vaccinated for COVID. That means 2 shots of like the Moderna or the Pfizer, or 1 shot of Johnson & Johnson. If you're not, then they require you to be PCR tested 48 hours prior to entering Zimbabwe, which you can do at the Johannesburg airport. So it's not a big deal. If they're not vaccinated, or just bring your vaccination card, you'll need to show that upon entry. That's the rules now. It could change again by 2024. But other than that, there's no yellow fever or any type of other shots that you need to go enter into South Africa or Zimbabwe. It's very easy. Robin always says the only shot you need is a shot of whiskey when you get there with him. So that's his little tagline for.
I remembered that. So I was like, I'm pretty sure that the answer is no, but
Yes.
let me double check that.
Yes. So Wendy wants to know, is this for families or adults only? So this trip is for families. We do have rooms in our provisional bookings that are family-friendly rooms. They're interleading rooms that would accompany or accommodate 4 or 5 in 2 rooms that interlead. Each property that you're at is a little bit of different configuration with the type of room that is offered. Some are interleading, some are maybe a family, a single room with a sofa for 3 people. So it would just really all depend on at what point you were registering. We have a certain amount of family rooms available that interlead. And then after that, the rooms will be 2-door room or 3-door room. We'll work with you when you are interested and you're ready to commit. We'll work with you with availability of what's currently in the offering. Anything you want to add to that, Brianne?
No, that's yeah. So when you if you decide you do want to come, the availability for family rooms is limited. So, we just recommend that you decide sooner than later, so that we can make sure that you get those family rooms. The rooms for 2 is easy, but that's not going to be an issue. It's the rooms for families that are a little bit harder, which is why we specifically did this itinerary and tried to find places that would have the availability for families. Tina, there is questions about, and I know I've asked this question before, do most places have kid-friendly food like chicken fingers?
Oh yeah, they really will. These places will all cater, especially the Safari Lodge and even in Victoria Falls. They're all very family friendly, very hospitable to the different needs of people, vegan, gluten-free, all of it. When you fill out a registration form, it's going to ask you all of those dietary restrictions or dietary requirements. So you'll be able to list all of that on there. And yes, for the children as well. And if they want something special, I mean, you just ask. In most cases, they'll do whatever they can to accommodate you.
When I first met with Robin regarding this, I'm a very, very, very picky eater. And I said, listen, I need to make sure there's going to be food. I'm not going to be living on protein bars the entire time I'm there.
No.
So.
The food is fabulous, you guys. I mean, I cannot state it enough. All of the restaurants, everything I've had, it's just absolute. They're just the cooks in these safari lodges and even in all of the lodges and any restaurant, the presentation, the food itself. I mean, and it's not real odd. I mean, it's, anything from salads to seafood in Cape Town is wonderful. Right there on the ocean, the fishing boats come in with the fresh catches, meat, vegetables. All the food that you will eat is actually grown in South Africa. They do not import any food. So they have a wide variety to choose from. And I'm telling you, by the end of it, I put on 10 pounds every time I go. It's just, the food is crazy. The amount that you want to eat. It's like, it never ends. It's great. And I too, first time brought protein bars. No, you will not need them. Do we have to eat again? Very much so. So, okay, so we did our time there in Victoria Falls. I'm going to scroll down again, and we'll fly to Cape Town. Staying on the Victoria and Alfred waterfront. Here's Table Mountain on the left-hand side here, you can see the big flat top, why they call it Table Mountain. Won't go in such detail here with all the activities that you'll do, but you will see, go to the top of Table Mountain, you ride a cable car up to get the view of the harbor and the city from both sides. We'll go to the southmost western point of the African continent, which is the Cape of Good Hope. And down in that area is a penguin colony that lives on Boulders Beach. So they're so cute. I mean, they're just wild there. They swim out in the ocean, eat their little fish, and come back and nest on the beach down by the boardwalk. So you walk this this boardwalk down to visit them. You can stay there as long as you want. It's like, you've ever seen the penguins in the zoo? I mean, they're noisy. These guys are too. I mean, there's hundreds of them there. It's crazy. And this penguin variety is called the jackass penguin, or the African penguin. And they call it the jackass penguin because it brays like a donkey. That's what they sound like. They're just loud and noisy. But such a treat to see penguins in Cape Town. We'll also do a wine estate tour with wine tasting for the adults. It's not a real long activity, so the kids will just kind of hang out a little bit while you guys do that. It's a nice thing to experience in Cape Town. South Africa is very much known for its wine and its wine industry, so we don't want you to miss that. Here's a Cape of Good Hope, just some more of the views along the way. You drive down Chapman's Peak, which is a coastal drive to get there. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. Okay, from Cape Town, we will fly to the Hoedspruit Airport in the Greater Kruger Park area. And again, guys, when we're making these flights, it's not like a bush plane or a little puddle jumper. I mean, these are full jet aircraft planes, 100-seater or more. They're full flights. It's Airlink. You can look them up and see their planes online. So no worries there at all. So arrive at the Hoedspruit Airport in the Greater Kruger Park area and head to the Shiduli Game Lodge out in the bush, which is just absolutely wonderful. Shiduli or Karangwi is the private game reserve that is Shiduli Game Lodge resides in. There's 5 lodges in this Karangwi private game reserve. It's owned by a family, private owned, and they manage the property. I think it's like 20,000 acres. They manage this property and the animals in the area manage through conservation. So all the animals that you want to see are there. The big 5, the rhino, the elephant, the Cape buffalo, the lion, and the leopard. Those are the big 5. They call them the big 5 because they're the most dangerous to hunt on foot. When you go on safari, you'll hear people talking about, did you see the big 5? Did you see the big 5? That's the big 5. But everything is there as well. They've got, zebra and giraffe, and you'll see them all down here. Wildebeest. I mean, just stunning. I can't guarantee what you're going to see and when you're going to see it because it is nature. They're there, and they'll make every effort to have you guys see as much as possible. So you will be assigned a ranger and a tracker when you are ready to go out on game drive. Your ranger rides on the front of the vehicle, or excuse me, your ranger is the driver of the vehicle and your tracker rides on the front of the vehicle. I can show you the vehicle here. We'll go back to accommodations. And there's a maximum of 9 people in a vehicle at a time. There it is. So there's the little seat for the tracker, and then your ranger rides in the vehicle. There's 3, 3, and 3, somewhat of stadium seating. So we'll climb up in there, choose your seat. You can mix it around. Usually we kind of rotate. So some people sit up high and some people sit up low, and go out for the game drive. You'll leave about, it depends upon the time of year, but around 6 a.m. So you'll get like a 5 a.m. or a 5:30 a.m. wake up call. Just splash a little water on your face, brush your teeth, put your hair up, and out the door you go. This is not fancy, guys. We don't need to dress for anybody, dress for the animals. Dress warm, because in June, it will be part of their winter time. It's not going to be like super cold, but you're in an open vehicle driving around early morning. So just like here in the US, winters are brisk. So you may want a stocking cap, some layers, and they'll have blankets in there to put across your lap if it's chilly. And as the sun comes up, you'll be pulling those layers off. I always like just like a little something around my ears. So even sometimes, just like a headband is sufficient, whatever you want to do. But dress warm, bring some warm clothes for the morning and the evening game drive as well. You'll come back, have breakfast, a big buffet breakfast about 9 a.m. You will get coffee and a little continental breakfast in the morning before you go. So real quick, grab a little something and off you go on your game drive for 3 hours and be back around 9 for a full breakfast. Then lunch, early afternoon, high tea before you head out for your 4 o'clock departure for your evening game drive. And on the evening game drive, it will get dark. So you're looking for the nocturnal animals, and the tracker in the front will have a spotlight that he'll pan back and forth from on the road where the vehicle is driving, and look for animals that are active at night. Some little things in the trees, like a bush baby. It's kind of like a little squirrel type animal, or a chameleon in the trees. You'd be amazed at what they can find in the night. So that's your game drives. Any questions there, guys?
Joy had asked a question about what the temperature is. So I know you talked a little bit about, the mornings being chilly. And I know my friend who was just there said she kind of needed clothes for all weathers. So if you could explain a little bit about that.
Yes, you are in their, like I said, their winter season. The sun gets warm, so I would, everyone's different. I'm not a shorts person when it gets, a little bit warm. It has to be quite warm for me to wear shorts, but you be comfortable. Mostly layers, I say, is what you would need. I would not bring a winter coat. I don't think I would go that far. I usually wear my Nataba jacket, and that is suffice. You will receive in your departure package a windbreaker jacket. On the registration form, we ask you for your jacket size. So that is part of the departure package, and you'll get a cap and some luggage tags and your itinerary booklet and your adapter for your electrical outlets. Don't bring your hair dryer, guys. South Africa will fry them, as Robin says. There's hair dryers in all the locations and all the hotels, but we will provide you an adapter for your chargers to charge your phone and so forth. But it's a windbreaker jacket that's very warm. It has a hood. I would wear a fleece, like something like this underneath, and maybe, something under the fleece. So just layers, and you could pull it off. And then they have wool blankets that you can put over your lap. And it's not the entire time. I mean, it warms up as the sun comes out. So hopefully that will help, guys. I would say Victoria Falls should be warmer, slightly warmer than Cape Town. Cape Town will be your coolest area. And in that area, you're traversing really in a closed van or, transport vehicle. So you'll be getting in and out of the vehicle for the activities that day. So it shouldn't be too bad. Anything else? Any other
So
questions?
Wendy's asking where you leave from. So, we will be able to help arrange. So the itinerary that Nataba has put together does not include any of the flights, whether they're the flights to Johannesburg or the flights within Africa. So what we'll do is we are going to be working with a third party to help with flights, or you can certainly book flights on your own. But so I know Tina was saying, I think Newark and Atlanta, and was there another place that had direct flights, Tina?
Those go into Johannesburg. Those would be the two I would recommend.
Okay.
They're starting out of Dulles, but it's a Cape Town flight right now. But South African Airways, I just read, you guys, just last week. I don't know if anyone's familiar, South African Airways really was struggling before COVID, and COVID put them out of business. So they have not been flying. It's their national airline. They've been only flying within South Africa, just a few flights. And we've read that they're going to be flying international again, starting the first quarter of next year. So that's a wonderful addition. I think it's going to really help with pricing. I mean, the US has now United and Delta kind of have the monopoly there. I've noticed flight prices being rather high from what they used to be. So I'm hoping that South African Airways comes in really competitively and maybe brings some of that down. They fly direct out of Dulles last time they flew. So whether they get those exact same flight patterns back, we're not sure yet, but stay tuned. That's going to be a great addition. So that should be direct, I would say, into Johannesburg as well. That's what we're expecting. Sometimes they did make one stop in Accra, Ghana, but we'll see what the flight plan is. Still, it's a great
Yeah, we won't
option.
be able to look for flights for, for quite some time.
Yeah.
So, the rooms and all that has to be reserved because they'll be gone again. This is, Tina was telling me before we got on that she was trying to help somebody for September of 2023 and she's having trouble locating anything. So that is why we're doing 2024. We're trying to book it ahead of time and make sure that we can actually get our group there. And I know just within our agency alone, we have a few families going, so it will be limited availability.
And intra-Africa flights, we will book those for you, charged separately. We put them on the Nataba credit card, and then we will invoice you. I mean, just a ballpark figure. They've really been a wide range of tickets there, prices there as well.
They're pretty high price, and we're still not getting video from them.
Yeah.
Anywhere from, I put $850 as an estimate in your itinerary. It could be less. I've seen it for 700. I've seen them for, over 900, but we're going to get booking as soon as they become available. So we should get the lowest fares available on those flights, but just be prepared for that. Something around 600, 700, 800, 900, somewhere in that range for the intra-Africa flights. And then in addition, your over the water international flights. Any other questions?
Tina, what's tipping like in South Africa?
Tipping in South Africa, we will give you a tipping guide. It's all, nothing is required. It's all discretionary. But we will give you a tipping guide. At the safari lodges, generally we say $10 a day for your guide and $5 for your tracker. But that's just totally up to you guys. They will be with you the entire time you're at the safari property. All 3 days you'll traverse with the same driver and tracker, as they know what you have seen and what you haven't seen. And we like people to stay in the same vehicles. That way that vehicle will, if you haven't seen the lions yet, they're going to be, trying to find those. They're going to concentrate just to get a good variety of everything. The amount of knowledge they have and what they will share with you is just incredible. They're like encyclopedias. They'll narrate to you about each animal species and, how they came to be and what they like, what they don't like, and their predators and who they eat. And it's just amazing the amount of information. So everyone really, really feels that they're the highlight of the trip, really, the trackers. And their information on the safari guides. And then any place else, it's, typical tipping at meals and restaurants. Most of your meals are included in this itinerary. Just in Cape Town, lunch and dinner. I think we do have lunch included, I think, on some of these too. Yeah, I think it's just dinner. But meals are very inexpensive. I mean, I was just there in September. We had 2 big lunch meals at a fine restaurant, and it was $22. It's very inexpensive. Dinner as well. I would not worry about that. Drinks at the Safari Lodge and at the lodges are not included. Alcoholic drinks are not included, but you can get a beer for $2.50 as well as a wine. So it's not overpriced like a lot of cruise ships or the high price resorts. It's very inexpensive and all very good. So pretty basic tipping, $1 per bag for luggage, nothing over the top. And you'll get that information with the, they'll give those tips and hints to you in your itinerary before your final itinerary before you leave.
Perfect. Does anybody else have any questions? There's a lot of good questions, a lot of the ones I've asked before.
Travel insurance, that's another thing we should talk about. I spoke with Brianne earlier today. I gave her some pamphlets on travel insurance options. We use Allianz, and we can quote travel insurance to you once we receive the registration forms. You can go on Allianz's website or use these pamphlets, brochures that I gave to Brianne. She can send them to you. It gives you kind of a chart, so you can kind of estimate what it might be. It goes by your age, and for Allianz by the state that you live in. So you can kind of get a feel for what that might be. We highly recommend travel insurance, especially traveling this day and age with cancellations and such. You need to have a backup for sure. And that's your medical insurance in most all cases. Medical plans don't involve or cover international travel unless you specifically have a purchased policy for that. There's also cancel for any reason type policy with Allianz. So Ben can share those options with you for more upfront information.
So Tina, when we're ready to book, how do we do it? What do we have to do next?
To confirm your space and to hold the rooms, we have 3 registration forms that we asked you to complete. I've provided those with Brianne as well. It's a registration form, all your personal information, your name, obviously passport number, phone number, address, all of that type things, as well as we ask that you send us a copy of your passport. Even if you're renewing it by that time, just go ahead and give us a copy of what you have. We always use that to make sure that we've got your name in our system as it appears on your passport, because that's so important for booking flights and reservations at the hotel properties and such. So we'll ask you for those. You can take a picture of it with your cell phone and just email it to Brianne. I mean, it's as simple as that. Doesn't have to be scanned or anything fancy, just as long as it's a legible picture. So fill out the registration form. There's a credit card. We won't use the credit card authorization form right now, but there is a credit card form that will get to you down the road when your second payment is due. And then also a terms and conditions, which explains our cancellation policies and the payment policies. So we'll have you sign that as well. Payment policies for trips that depart more than 1 year prior to departure. We require a cash or check payment, down payment for that. It's a 10% deposit of the per person booking. So $38.55 per adult sharing. So it'd be 10% down, check or cash payment. You can send those in to Brianne with your forms, or send the form to Brianne and mail the check. On the registration form will have the address in the Nataba office where you are to mail the check.
For cash, what kind of, do you take PayPal or what do you take for that,
I
Tina?
think they take Zelle,
Okay.
Zelle through the bank accounts, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just became familiar with that myself recently, but I think that is an automated option. We'll work with Stella in the office and make sure that that's still the case, but I did hear that that was acceptable at one point.
Yeah, so just for the deposit, just clarifying, just for the deposit is a check, and that's a rule from South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
It's actually the banking system or the banks that Stella works with in Kentucky,
Okay.
believe it or not. I mean,
Oh,
quite
okay.
unusual, but yeah, they require her to collect cash or payment. Cash or
But the rest of it, they can put on a credit card as normal. So it's
Yes.
really the first deposit, that the 10% deposit that has to be cash or check. And then the final payment can be, however you guys choose to pay it.
Yeah, we'll provide you with the credit card authorization form. There's really, the next payment would be 9 months prior to departure. It would be 15% of the $38.55, and then 4 months prior to departure, 30%, and the balance due 2 months prior to departure. And that's all in the terms and conditions. That document is attached to the itinerary if you want to read that ahead of time, as well as the under 18 travelers documentation that's needed. I didn't talk about that before, but you can click there and it gives you information to go to a link as well for a form. There's specific forms, and you need to bring an unabridged copy of the birth certificate, and it gives you all the specifics there as well if you're traveling with children. What else?
Oh, there was another, hold on a second, let me go back to my chat. Is the trip wheelchair friendly if someone needs it?
I have to think about every location specifically. I would say the City Lodge would be. Pioneers is not very wheelchair friendly. I've been there in September and I noticed a lot of steps going up and down. That might be an issue. That might be an issue there. And I believe there's steps also involved at the City Lodge. I'm sorry to say. I would say it's not fully wheelchair friendly. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Do you think, Tina, if that a wheelchair friendly trip could be built if somebody needed that for, like a personal trip?
Yes, I think I would pick different properties. I would investigate a little further to make sure they're not all catered. They're not all required. More so like in the US with the Disabilities Act, they're not that fully forward in South Africa. So I would say we can check into that for sure. I know we've had people in wheelchair going on our itineraries before. I worked closely with Robin on that, who would have a lot more detail on specific properties where we could manage very easily.
Perfect. Yeah. So we have this group trip put together, and we also have the adults only group trip put together, but Nataba will also put together custom itineraries. So if one of these dates don't work for you, if you want to do something different than we've put together, we through whatever World Wonder travel agent that you're using, we can work with Nataba to put together a custom itinerary for what is perfect for you. So if you need a wheelchair friendly trip, we can certainly make sure that that happens for you. Wendy has a question. She has her hand raised very politely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the presentation. As I am kind of reviewing like the days, in your experience, our daughter is 9, son is 16, and can they really keep up? Because I'm going to be exhausted by day 3, I'm pretty sure. Can a 9-year-old really keep up with this itinerary?
I think so. I do think so. There is, it is full with activities, but the really only real early mornings are in the Safari Lodge, I feel, where, it's the 5:30 a.m. wake up call and such. But the evenings you're able to get to bed. It's a lot of, riding from destination to destination, touring in Cape Town. It's not a real physical activity or activity oriented itinerary, I would say. It's a good balance. I think it's a good mix. You're walking at the Victoria Falls. You're walking to see the penguins kind of a long way, so you get to stretch your legs there. Yeah, I think that's a really good age for children.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I actually, so my daughter is currently 9, so she'll be 11, which I was figuring this out when I was talking to Tina earlier, and I was like, oh God, I'm going to have an 11 and a 14-year-old. Oh my God. Yeah, I just did Europe, and I know my daughter could not have done what I just did in Europe, so I know what it's like when it's overly crowded, and, we tried to keep a nice balance of it, them getting to see stuff, but not being exhausted. Cause, like I said, I have one of them and she's a little lazy. So we have, Yeah, she'll be 11 too. So my daughter will be there, and we'll have some other kids that are going to be around that same age that I know. I know one of our other agents has who will be 11 as well. And Heather, yours will be close to that age. Yeah. So yeah.
Mine will be older.
Yeah.
At the
Maybe,
Safari
like,
Lodge.
13 and 14.
Well, that's great too. When they're at the Safari Lodge, I mean, they have the middle of the day is free. I mean, I a lot of times take a nap. I mean, it's at the end of your itinerary. If they're wearing out and getting up early, I mean, a good time to just take a little nap in the middle of the day, for sure. Have time to nap on the airplane when we fly from Johannesburg to Victoria Falls to Cape Town. I mean, there's some quiet time. There's some quiet time where they can get a good rest in.
Wendy wants to know, do we get to socialize with locals or just our group?
Oh, yeah, very much so. I'd say with the locals. The people at the lodges, they're privately owned, a lot of them. The Pioneers is a family-owned property. He's very involved. You may even see Bruno there at the lodge. He owned 2 lodges actually in Victoria Falls. The people that work at the lodges are local people from the townships, from the villages. You definitely will get to interact with the locals. And that's one thing I like about Victoria Falls. It's a small community. It's not a big city like Cape Town. It's very raw Africa, a lot of orange dirt roads, and raw Africa. It's great. I mean, you want to be there. You want to experience that. The markets, the vendors, the people of Southern Africa in general are just fabulous, welcoming, happy, smiling, singing and dancing is their thing. I mean, music is very much a part of their culture, and dancing and just the local songs they sing in the villages, and they bring them to the lodges, and they put on shows in the evening for you. And you will fall in love. Believe me. I went on this African safari in 2016 as a client. My husband, myself, and my cousin. And I was a travel agent years ago, before the internet. That'll tell you how old I am. And this is the one trip I never got to do when I worked in the industry before. So I became an empty nester. My kids were out of school and I'm out, and I said, okay, we're going to do this. And I found Robin's company, Nataba African Safaris, through a travel agent that lived in my subdivision. We went on this trip and I was so blown away. I was like, I don't want this experience to end. This was just incredible. I ended up working for the company. Robin said, come work for me. I'll make a travel agent out of you again. And here I am. Yeah, it's just great. I mean, they really put an incredible package together. I can't say it enough. We get that comment from so many of our past clients that go on this trip. If you watch Robin or Nataba African Safaris on Facebook, he posts a lot on there when our clients travel. And I mean, a lot of people are very rigorous travelers these days. They travel a lot. And we get so many times and said, this is the absolute best trip I've ever taken, from people that have traveled the world. I mean, that says a lot. That says a lot. So we hope you come with us as well.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I have to say, so working with Nataba so far has been a phenomenal experience. We have obviously a lot of choice of who we can choose to run our groups with. And from the moment I met Robin, I knew it would be with Robin. He's got the energy of 1,000 people, and really, really cares and wants everybody to get to experience South Africa. So we're super excited to be working with them and excited to be bringing this group specifically for families, because, as most of you know, it's a little bit harder when you're traveling with kids. There's different challenges, and we wanted to make sure that this was geared towards them, because there's really not anything that's geared towards kids except Adventures by Disney. And I can't afford Adventures by Disney. I would like to be able to, but I can't. So we are very grateful that Nataba put together such a fantastic itinerary for the kids. And if you read it over, I mean, as I was reading it, I was shrieking in excitement just thinking about it. So you know, the next step would be to, I will email everybody tonight, and or tomorrow maybe, I'll email you the presentation just in case you missed some of it or you want to refer back to it. I'll email you the presentation so you can have that. And we'll say, hey, if you're ready to book, let's get on it. Tina is going away. So if you want to book soon, then you need to book very, very soon because Tina's leaving us until the beginning of December. So
On the 17th, I'm leaving this Thursday. I'm lucky enough, I'm traveling with Stella. We're going to a tourism conference in Botswana to learn more the area there and add to our portfolio of properties and such. So I'll be out for 2 weeks, I'm sorry to say, but yeah, Brianne will be here. She has your registration forms. She can submit them to the Nataba office. They can run your deposit and secure your spot. So I will be limited email access. I'll be watching, keeping my emails when I can, but I'll be out in the middle of the Okavango Delta for 6 nights with no Wi-Fi. So
yikes.
yes,
And
totally disconnected.
speaking of Wi-Fi, I was told that we do have good Wi-Fi in South Africa.
Yes.
I asked
You
that
will have
question.
good Wi-Fi. You all have Wi-Fi at your lodges. You may not be able to download and stream, but you'll be able to use WhatsApp and text back home, and probably maybe talk on the phone through WhatsApp. There'll be Wi-Fi in the lodges, every lodge that you're at. I'm going more in the bush, in the Okavango Delta. It's very out there, so no Wi-Fi out there, but you guys will all have Wi-Fi where you're going.
Perfect. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, we'll thank Tina for her time tonight. Thank you all for coming. And like I said, I will email everybody and send you the presentation, and you can just let us know if you wanted to move forward. We'll get you, specifics for your family. Yeah, and you can work with, so I know that not everybody is one of my clients here, so you can absolutely work with your travel agent. And, I will make sure that they are aware if you're interested, and we'll connect you guys together. So, yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Thank you so much, Tina. I appreciate your time tonight. And I'm so excited to go to South Africa, and my kids don't know.
Very welcome. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming.